Chapter 13 is all about how people learn and ways people learn. Here are the objectives for this chapter. These are the things you should know after we finish. First off, when it comes to learning theory, Bloom's taxonomy was first created in 1956 by the man Benjamin Bloom. He created it as a way of classifying learning. In 2001, Bloom's taxonomy was revised and its name changed to Bloom's revised taxonomy. And it still classifies learning, but it made things a little more complex. So it's Bloom's taxonomy, and taxonomy means a way of classifying something. So they're trying to classify learning. Here are the stages of Bloom's taxonomy. Stage 1 is the lowest level of learning is to remember something. Stage 2, a little bit higher level than just remembering it, is understanding it. If you understand it, that means you can explain it. Step 3 is to apply it. That means you need to take your knowledge and use it in some type of way. Step 4 is to analyze the information. That means you need to break it down into pieces. Step 5 is to evaluate the information, like can you make a value judgment about it? Step 6 is to create or make or build something. And obviously, steps 4, 5, and 6 are considered the highest levels of learning. If you can create or make or produce whatever you learned about, that shows that you really understand the information. There's another theory of learning called Kolb's theory of experiential learning. This theory was created in 1984, and in this theory, Kolb says that we learn through our experiences. Here are the 4 different ways Kolb says we can learn through our experience. He said that we can go through concrete experience. That means we see, hear, touch, taste, or smell new information. So that means we can actually physically, it's concrete right in front of us. Reflective observation is when we ask ourselves questions about things we're curious about so that we can think more deeply and reflect on what we just learned. So this is a way of learning because it causes us to stop and engage in metacognitive thinking, because we're not just taking it in, like, do we really know that? How does this relate to my life and things I've learned? Abstract conceptualization is the idea that we reason with ourselves about what we're in the process of learning. So that means I need to understand this concept on a personal level. I need to reason with myself about why this is important to me. You'll take a lot of classes where you don't feel like the information is useful, but you got to figure out how to get through it. Active experimentation is when you go through the hands-on process of active testing, doing it, applying the information to real-world use. You are actually experimenting with the information you learn. Learning styles are real popular in our society. And sometimes people tend to think that we can take in and process new information one way. I want you to understand that the idea of us only being able to take in information one way is false. There are 4 learning styles that we all use: verbal, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. And even though those 4 learning styles exist, sometimes we tend to favor one, but it doesn't mean we can't do the other. So the main thing for you as a student is you need to be able to learn in all those 4 ways, because you never know how your teachers will present information. Visual learners like to learn by watching or seeing information. For example, I'm showing you this presentation right now. Some of you learned well by doing that. Auditory learners like to learn by listening. If I didn't show you the screen and I just gave you a video recording of my voice, an audio recording, some people could learn that way if they were an auditory learner. Verbal learners like to learn by talking and discussing information. These are people who are pretty philosophical and they like to share their ideas, and they learn by listening to the ideas of others. And kinesthetic learners learn by doing. They like the hands-on experience with the information. VARC is a type of learning styles inventory. It's got 4 parts as well. And instead of calling it auditory, it's called oral. And it also has the reading and writing instead of the verbal. The reading and writing stands for people who learn by reading or writing information instead of talking and discussing. There are also 4 stages of adult learning: unconscious incompetent, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. We're going to talk about what all 4 of these different learning styles are. And before we do that, if you understand what it means to be conscious, that's when you are aware, awake, alert. If you understand what it means to be competent, that means you know something. And then all you have to understand are what un and in usually mean as prefixes. They usually mean not, right? So not being aware of what you don't know is unconscious incompetence. You are unaware of how much you don't know. You are unconsciously incompetent. Conscious incompetence, if you're conscious, that means you are aware of how much you don't know. You are consciously incompetent. Conscious competence means you are aware of what you know. So that means you are competent. And unconscious competence refers to you not even thinking about things because they are automatic. You can do them without thinking. Things like driving a car or riding a bike. And those are all of the different learning strategies you need to know.